Have you ever wondered why you feel so exhausted in relationships where you've poured your heart and soul in, only to realize the other person never reciprocated with even a fraction of genuine sincerity? As a psychologist specializing in narcissistic personality disorders, I see clearly how these imbalanced interactions wear you down, not because you lack worth, but because they lack the capacity to connect like a healthy human being. While you strive to build a relationship rooted in mutual respect, empathy, and emotional depth, the narcissists, operate within a closed loop of manipulation, relentless control, power seeking, and a constant hunger for validation that feeds their inflated ego by draining your energy. Can you see that this imbalance isn't your fault, but rather the inevitable result of a disordered mind incapable of genuine connection? I invite you to stay here, not just to listen, but to explore with me the hidden mechanisms behind this behavior. Tell me, what was the moment in that relationship that made you feel the most trapped? What still lingers in your heart, and how have you tried to overcome it? I'm here to face those sharp, unspoken corners with you, not to avoid them. Are you ready? They, the narcissist, are not merely self-centered individuals, but masterful artists in a theatrical play of manipulation, where every word, every glance is a finely sharpened blade, aimed mercilessly at the soul of their victim. They distort reality with a chilling level of precision, a twisted game of gaslighting that gradually erodes your trust in yourself, in what you once saw, heard, and felt. Their seemingly innocent questions, "Are you sure I said that? Or maybe you're just imagining things," are not expressions of concern, but bricks that build the psychological prison in which you are held captive by doubt and self-blame. Your confidence, that radiant light that once defined who you are, is slowly chipped away by them, leaving behind an empty shell, trembling before each of their judgments. But that's not the end of it. They also control your emotions through unpredictable cycles of affection and cruelty, a ruthless tactic known as intermittent reinforcement, no different from how one trains an animal. One day they lift you to cloud nine with sweet words and warm glances, making you believe you finally found peace amid the storms of life. The next day they turn cold, silent as an ice wall. Or worse, they unleash cutting words that shatter your heart into pieces. You suffer, you cry in silence through endless nights, yet that very pain keeps you tied to them because of the fragile hope that maybe tomorrow they'll love you again like they once did. But that's not love. It is a cold, sharp blade cutting deep into your heart, leaving wounds that may never fully heal. And just when you think you've reached the limit of your endurance, they strike with their final blow. In the distorted world of the narcissist, every fault is yours. They shout in your face that you made them angry, you drove them to act badly, that if only you were better, more obedient, more loving, things would have turned out differently. That tactic is called projection. But to you, it's a piercing stab that turns you into the villain in the very tragedy they scripted from the start. They stand there wearing a mask of innocence, tears glistening in their eyes as if they were the ones hurt, all while keeping a tight grip on the invisible strings controlling your thoughts and emotions. Look deeper and you'll see not just ordinary selfishness, but an emotional black hole, devouring all light and joy from anyone unfortunate enough to fall into their orbit. They don't love you. They need only a mirror to reflect their grandiose delusion. And when that mirror cracks, they won't hesitate to step over you in search of a new victim. But the true value lies in you, the one who once fell under their spell. Every scar is a testament to the strength it took for you to rise again. Every tear is the fire that forged your resilience. They may have manipulated you for a time, but they can never take away your essence, your ability to rise from the ashes, stronger than ever before. Step out of their shadow because you deserve light, you deserve freedom, and above all, you deserve yourself. Don't fall for the illusion that your kindness can melt the frozen heart of a narcissist. It's a naive dream that will only leave you more broken. They don't operate by reason. They aren't moved by morality, and they certainly don't know what remorse means. In their world, every human value is twisted into a tool to serve their ballooning ego, one that is always on the verge of bursting at the prick of truth. You could spend hours explaining your pain, shedding tears to prove your sincerity, or waiting for even a fake apology, but all of it is merely digging deeper into the pit of despair they've thrown you into. They don't change because you're better, because you love more, or because you sacrifice yourself until nothing remains. No. A narcissist only bows when faced with real consequences, when their supply of attention runs dry, when they're exposed under the light of justice, or when you finally turn your back and cut the strings they once used to pull you like a puppet. The more you chase their validation, the more you turn yourself into a submissive prey in their twisted game. Every word you speak is distorted, every tear you shed is seen as their victory, and every effort you make only becomes fuel to feed the flames of their inflated self-importance. They don't see you as a human being with a heart that feels pain and a soul that can be wounded. They see you only as a mirror reflecting their grandiose illusion. And when that mirror no longer reflects what they want to see, they will shatter it without hesitation, leaving you amidst the rubble of broken trust and lost self-respect. But listen closely. Your worth does not reside in their indifferent gaze, nor does it depend on the cheap compliments they throw your way like charity. You are not their shadow. You are not a permanent victim in the story they've written. Every step you take away from them is a strike that severs the chains. Every time you choose yourself is a brick in the rebuilding of your self-worth, a fortress they once tried to tear down. They may never change, but you can, and that is a power they will never comprehend. Your kindness is not weakness. It is a slow-burning flame, waiting for the right moment to rise and burn away every illusion they once planted. Rise, not to prove anything to them, but to affirm something to yourself. You are the light they can never extinguish. Etch this into your soul. Never let the sweet words of a narcissist lull you into submission, for they are nothing but sugar-coated blades. They are master orators, weaving sweet promises and affectionate words, exactly what you long to hear in your darkest moments. I'll change. You mean everything to me. Or if only you understood me a little more. But open your eyes. Their mouth speaks one thing, their hands do another. Their words are a seductive smokescreen, but their actions, the coldness, the abandonment, the betrayal, are the true reflection of who they are. Don't fool yourself into thinking those words come from the heart. They are carefully aimed bullets, fired to keep you under control, to keep you kneeling beneath their bloated ego. Your pain stems from that very contradiction between what you hear and what you endure. You cling to every promise like a lifeline in a raging storm, only to realize it's hollow, leaving you to drown deeper in the sea of disappointment. They see your pain, they watch your tears, but instead of lifting you up, they step over you without a second glance, lips still smiling as if they had never inflicted any harm. Their actions expose the harsh truth. You are not someone they love. You are a source of attention, an unwilling audience in a show where they are the only star. But your worth does not lie in those lies, nor is it determined by the indifference they throw in your face. Each time you choose to look at their actions instead of being seduced by their words, you reclaim a piece of the power they once stole. Let truth be your guide. They are not worthy of your trust, nor of the sleepless nights you've spent because of them. You are the wind that cannot be caged, the flame that rises from the ashes they left behind. Don't wait for them to change. Don't hope they'll see your worth. You must be the one to carry the torch that lights the way out of their shadow. Every step you take is a declaration you do not need validation from someone who only loves themselves. Live true to yourself, because that is something they can never steal, no matter how cruel their behavior becomes. Don't waste your strength in the endless spiral of explanations or arguments with a narcissist. It's an arena rigged in their favor, a trap where you're destined to lose in a game that was never fair to begin with. They don't listen to understand nor argue to find the truth. They argue to drain you, to entangle you in a web of distorted logic and twisted emotions. Every word you speak, no matter how sharp, heartfelt, or soaked in tears, is bent, distorted, or thrown back at you like a poisoned arrow. The more you try to win, the more you seek an acknowledgement of their wrongdoings, the more you trap yourself in the windmill of manipulation. To them, there is no right or wrong, only winners and losers, and in their world, they must always win, while you, the one who believes truth, can reach a hollow heart, always lose. Let your silence and actions be your sharpest boundary, slicing through the darkness of suffering like a blade. If you say you're leaving the conversation, get up, walk away, leave them with the silence they fear most. If you declare you will not tolerate disrespect, don't bow your head when they snarl or mock. Stand your ground. Let your actions speak louder than any words they refuse to hear. Your pain is not for them to dissect. It's not a toy for them to play with and discard. Every time you choose action over argument, you reclaim a fragment of your soul they once trampled. You rebuild the protective walls they tore down with their lies. Never forget, the narcissist's power only exists as long as you respond. Every tear, every scream, every desperate plea is fuel for their fire of control. They are predators, hungry for your reactions like a starving beast craves its prey. But if you stop giving them what they seek, they will starve in the emptiness of their own void. Try the gray rock method. Become uninteresting, emotionless, still and solid like a stone. When they growl, do not flinch. When they lure, do not smile. When they blame, do not defend. Stand firm like a stone wall, letting every word they throw at you fall to the ground, meaningless like the wind howling through a narrow crack. That is not weakness, it is your sharpest weapon. The refusal to feed the emotional energy they depend on to survive. Your pain was once the breeze that slipped through the door they deliberately left ajar. You cried, you screamed, you begged them to acknowledge the wounds they inflicted. But to a narcissist, your pain is not a cry for help. It's a victory, a confirmation that they still hold you in the palm of their hand. By choosing the gray rock method, you slam that door shut, locking your heart away from their filthy grasp. They will panic, they will lash out even harder to extract a reaction from you, but every time you stay silent, you push them deeper into the pit they once dug for you. And their true face begins to show. Weak, dependent, unable to exist without the attention they so desperately leech from others. Don't expect an apology from a narcissist. It is a precious gem they will never place in your hands, no matter how much you plead or scream. In their distorted world, admitting fault is to tear off the perfect mask they've carefully crafted. It's a fatal blow to their inflated ego, one that's ready to explode at the slightest touch of truth. They would rather watch you break under the weight of pain, rather see you bleed from wounds they created than simply bow their head and say, "I was wrong." You once hoped, waited for a moment when they would turn around, eyes glimmering with remorse, but it was all just an illusion, dissolving in the cold mist of their indifference. To them, you were never worth humbling themselves for. You were just a pawn they discarded once you lost your value in a game they had already won. Your pain was never something they cared about. It was the burden you carried while clinging to a hopeless dream that they would change. Each time you wait for them to acknowledge your worth, you drive another blade into your own heart, bleeding for someone who will never see its value. But hear this. Healing is not in their hands, and it does not depend on words they'll never say. Healing begins with you, with the moment you let go of the rope they use to bind you, with the moment you stop searching for light in their lifeless eyes and ignite your own inner flame. Your worth does not require validation from someone who only loves themselves. They are a black hole devouring every good thing you gave, but you are a star, brilliant, eternal, shining without their presence. Healing is a journey you carve out yourself, step by step, by forgiving yourself for believing them, for loving them, for giving too much. They won't give you closure. but you can give yourself freedom, the most powerful weapon to shatter the chains they once wrapped around you. Rise not to confront them, but to embrace yourself, to rebuild a world where you are the center, not their shadow. You are the wind that sweeps away sorrow, the fire that burns the past, and above all, the light they can never extinguish. True victory is not forcing a narcissist to kneel and apologize, not in watching them finally acknowledge the wounds they carved into your soul. That's a fantasy you once clung to in tear-soaked nights. No, real triumph is living well, living fully, living radiantly without them in the picture of your life. They want you to believe your value depends on their indifferent gaze, that you must prove something to earn the scraps of attention they toss like pity. But the truth is, you don't need them to define you. You don't need an apology they'll never give. And you don't need validation from someone who only ever admired their own reflection. Break free from that illusion. Turn your back on them. Pour your energy into your own life. That is the sharpest, most powerful blow, the one that forces them to face the reality that they are no longer the center of your universe. The narcissists, are puppets of their own making, dancing in a show they directed for themselves, where everyone else is either an unwilling audience or a prop to glorify their false sense of greatness. They once made you feel small, crushed your spirit with cruel words, trampled your self-respect like trash beneath their feet. You've suffered, collapsed, and asked yourself what you did wrong to deserve such cruelty. But look deeper into that pain. It is not proof of weakness, but the fire that forged your strength, the wave that swept away the broken pieces so you could rebuild yourself anew. They will never see that. They cannot see that because to them, you were only an emotional supply, a mirror reflecting their artificial perfection. But when you walk away from their orbit, when you stop reacting, stop arguing, stop waiting, you break the script they wrote for you and leave them lost in a play that no longer has an audience. Living well without them is how you expose the true face of the narcissist, a weak, dependent being who cannot survive without the attention they forcefully extract from others. They want you kneeling at their feet, trembling in the false glow of their fabricated glory. But when you stand tall, lift your head high, and walk your own path, you show them they are not as powerful as they believed. They are but a howling wind slipping through narrow cracks, loud yet powerless against the mountain of strength that is you. Every day you live joyfully, every smile you wear without them by your side, every step forward without looking back. Those are the blades that pierce their fragile ego deeper than any accusation you could ever voice. They cannot bear to see you shine without them as your sun. But that is no longer your concern. Your worth does not lie in seeking revenge, nor does it depend on whether they ever acknowledge their wrongs. You are a deep ocean that needs no storm to prove its power. You are a steady flame that doesn't need to blaze wildly to warm your own soul. Focus on your life, build healthy relationships, nurture the dreams they once mocked, and love yourself with all the tenderness you once gave to them. Every smile you wear is a statement. Every success you achieve is a wall that separates you further from the darkness they once pulled you into. They wanted you to believe you couldn't live without them, that you'd always be the victim in the story they wrote, but you can, and you will rewrite that story with yourself as the main character, no longer their shadow. Imagine the day you stand on the peak of your own becoming, looking down on the days they once tried to crush beneath their heel, not to mock them, not to prove anything to them, but to embrace yourself. The one who survived the storm, the one who found light within their own heart. Living well is not revenge, it is liberation. Liberation from the chains they used to bind you, from the lies they planted in your mind. They may never apologize, never admit a thing, but you don't need it to heal. Healing comes from how you choose to love yourself, how you transform pain into power, how you live a life no longer under their control. You are the free wind that sweeps away sorrow, the fire that burns the past, the radiant light they could never extinguish. The greatest victory isn't defeating them. It's living joyfully, fully, and entirely on your own terms, something they will never understand and can never take from you. Healing is not about forcing a narcissist to change. That is a naive illusion, a draining pursuit like trying to squeeze water from a barren stone. They are an icy wall, cold and unchanging, impervious to the light of reason or the warmth of compassion. Don't waste another tear, another breath, hoping they will see the pain they've caused, for to them, your pain is a trophy, proof of the power they held over you. True healing begins when you open your eyes to the truth. They are not your source of worth, not the light guiding your path. They are a black hole sucking away every bit of light you once offered. But you have the power to walk away from that darkness and ignite your own fire. Stop seeking your worth in their hollow gaze, the eyes that only reflect their false greatness. You once trembled under their judgments, cowered when they crushed your self-esteem. But now stand tall and draw your boundaries, not in words, but in resolute action. Reject manipulation. Cut the invisible strings they use to control you, and live a life of freedom beyond their grasp. They may snarl, may strike when they see you slip from their control, but every step you take away from them is another cut to their fragile ego, revealing the truth that they are weak, surviving only on stolen attention. Your worth lies in how you choose to love yourself and how you turn scars into medals of resilience. Living fully is not about punishing them. It's about freeing yourself from the ghosts they left behind. You are the wind that carries pain away, the light they could never dim. Live not to be seen by them, but to feel your own freedom, something they could never give you and something they will never understand.